We all know that everybody that exists that lives here, and especially in the US, have been programmed to think about money, to make decisions about money a certain specific way so that you can remain to be a part of the bottom. But today I'm going to share this thing called debt and how debt is actually beginning or supposed to be used as a tool to help you transform your financial inadequacies into financial prosperity. But most people get hung up on the cost to the lender, right? But most people think that borrowing is a sin and borrowing and debt is a bad thing. But of course, they would have us to believe these things, right? Why do they have us to believe these things? Because as long as you believe them, you can never create wealth because of lack of knowledge, lack of education, lack of understanding of how money really works. If you have none, you have to go ask. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is the day we're going to be talking about how you can leverage debt to make millions of dollars in your business. If you are here for the first time, I am Dr. Karwanna D. I'm a business growth specialist, and I help high-level entrepreneurs actually turn their six-figure business into 7, 8, and even 9 figures and beyond by teaching them wealth strategies. One of the particular strategies that I teach them is government contracts also, but specifically, there are some things that actually keeps most businesses out of the game. So according to a recent study by the Small Business Administration, there are about 33 million businesses that are small businesses in the U.S. that exist today, okay, across the U.S. Now, out of that, only 2% actually make $1 million in revenue per year. And only 6% are actually recorded and reported to make 6 figures in business. And so that's 8%. So that leaves 92% of small businesses that are out here in the US that are making less than $100,000. We can help you change that. And most of the reasons that I've seen that hold small business entrepreneurs back is the understanding of how money works. So we all know that everybody that exists that lives here, especially in the US, have been programmed to think about money, to make decisions about money a certain specific way so that you can remain to be a part of the bottom 92 percentile. But today I'm going to share with you some information that is knowledge, is information and knowledge that you probably just haven't seen or heard from this particular perspective. And I'm going to break it down to you. When you learn how money works, then and only then can you attract more money into your life. And I'm not talking about a magic pill. I'm not talking about magic and wizardry or any of those things. I'm talking about real principles by the way it works. The world evolves and works by principles, and principles are always at work, whether you are aware of them or not. They're either working for you. If you are aware of them, you can make them work for you, or they're working against you. And those who are not aware of how these laws that govern how life works, if you're not aware of how they work, chances are they're probably working against you. But today I'm going to show you how to make these things work for you. Okay. All right. So let's talk about a little bit about leveraging debt, right? So we're going to redefine debt as a tool. So from here forward, I want you to think of debt as this tool that is designed for you to change your financial inadequacies and transfer them into financial prosperity and financial purpose. Okay. So debt is actually a tool that is designed for you to transfer your financial inadequacies and transform them into financial prosperity. Okay. And this is for your greater purpose. So now that we have clearly defined debt from this particular standpoint of how I'm going to help you get your breakthrough, right? I know you're here because you're ready to get that breakthrough, right? Then I'm going to break into some of the cost of borrowing money and what it really looks like. So let's just say, for instance, I'm going to bring up my drawing tool. So let's break it down. And then I'm going to get into some scriptural things around this concept. In fact, first I'll start there. How about we start the basis with the scriptural things that sets the foundation of what we were designed to do, especially as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, multipreneurs, all of those preneurs that are out there looking to actually create wealth with your business. First, let's set the foundation of the reason why your business is very key for you actually living into your purpose. And so let's talk about God's creation. So a couple things just really quick. I'm gonna do a quick review of this. God created the heavens and earth in day one, right? He created the heavens, the earth, and the lights. Day two, he divided the waters from the sky. Day three, he pulled back the waters and revealed the dry land to produce the vegetation and plant fruit. So he commanded them, right? So he delegated the land to actually bring forth the fruit. On day four, God separated the light from day and gave sun the rule over the day and the moon the rule over the nights. In day five, he told the waters to bring forth abundantly. So he commanded and actually delegated the waters to bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life and the fowl that may fly above in the earth, in the open firmament of heaven. And God created the whales and every living creature that moveth in the waters, right? And he told them to bring it forth abundantly. Day six, he said, let every living creature produce after its own kind. Everything, right? Everything needs to produce after its own kind, right? So the cattle produce cattle, the birds produce birds, the fish and the fowl produce fish and the fowl. So that's day six. Day seven, God made the beasts of the earth and told them everything that creepeth upon the earth to actually produce after its own kind as well. And in day seven, God said, let us bring forth man in our own likeness. So that's God creating man in his own likeness, which means that God created men to create, which human, men and women, God created us to create. And the very first thing that he gave us as a commandment. So as you can see, God created and then he commanded it. He created and he commanded these things to do certain things. So after he created man, which is you and I, he commanded us to, and he said in Genesis 1:28, God created man in his own image, and the image of God he created him, male and female created he him, and God blessed them. So here's your blessing. He blessed you. And then he said, go be fruitful and multiply. That is the commandment, right? He's delegating you to do these things. To go be fruitful and multiply and to replenish, which means to put back, to return, to give and get, right? On the earth and subdue it, which means that in order to weigh for you to subdue things, that means you have to stomp on it. That means you're already above every circumstance. That means you have to subdue it, overcome it. So he actually gave us the power and the ability to overcome, regardless whatever comes after the word, that whatever it is you need to overcome. If it's finances, this is what we're talking about here today, how to get your financial prosperity and your breakthrough. God already gave us the ability and commanded us to subdue it. And then he says, then you will have dominion in that area. So whatever area you're dealing with right now, if it's prosperity, if it's wealth, if it's health or whatever, he's already gave you all the tools and the skills and the knowledge and the bandwidth to do the things that you need to do to change your circumstances. So because it's the commandment, now what's holding us back? Okay. So here's the thing, and I see this quite often. So I'm going to share my screen now. Let's get into this thing called debt, and how debt is actually beginning or supposed to be used as a tool to help you transform your financial inadequacies into financial prosperity. So I'm going to share my screen again here. And okay, so let's just say, for instance, there's an opportunity for you to invest in something that can show you how to make $10, but it costs $1 to invest in it. So I'm using simple numbers because everybody loves simple math. So we're going to do a little bit of simple math here. So it costs $1. And when you implement this strategy, you're going to guarantee be able to make $10 when you execute the strategy. One thing about blueprints work. They work for everyone. Doesn't matter whose hand the blueprint is in. As long as you follow the blueprint, you can get the result of the blueprint, because that's why it's a blueprint, right? So success actually has a blueprint for and clues, like for those who want to follow and pattern themselves after success. So let's get back to the story. Let's just say, so it costs $1, but you don't have it. But there's someone on the other end that's willing to loan you $1, right? In order for you to learn how to make $10. Okay. Somebody is willing to loan you $1. This is the lender, right? This is the lender that's willing to loan you $1, but you have to pay them back $2. Okay. This is a 100% return on their lending, right? The cost of borrowing, right? It costs to borrow money. right? It costs. There's a small cost. And when you understand this right here, it doesn't matter if this was 1 million or 100,000, doesn't matter what these numbers are, it still works the same. So I'm starting simplistic with these particular numbers, but of course, this concept and this principle and this practice works regardless of what the number really is. Okay. So it costs $1. You don't have $1, but most people are not willing to borrow the money from the lender. So this is the lender. But watch this. This is the borrower. By the way, we heard and we hear these things that continues to program our minds about money to you want to be the lender and not the borrower, which is great. There's nothing wrong with being the lender and not the borrower. But at some point, you're going to understand that actually the borrowers, I'm going to show you how the borrowers actually win bigger than the lender. So if you could be both, that's great. But at some point, you got to be on one side or the other initially, right? So here's how it works. So it costs 100, that's 100%, right? It's 100% return on their investment, right? Most people will say this 100%, I'm not. So here's a scenario. Most people, they say, it's 100% return. So I got to pay you $2 while I'm borrowing only $1. So it's a no-go for me. And then I'll never be able to do this 10 because it's a no-go. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. But watch this. Watch how powerful this is, you guys. Like, this was a spiritual download for me when I understood how this really works. And it started working for me like merely over 2 decades ago. Okay. Merely over 2 decades ago, I understand this concept, and it actually transformed my financial inadequacies into financial power and prosperity. So let's just say somebody smart like you, right? Somebody smart like you who's on here. Derek, you, Derek. Hi, Alton. You, Derek, Key, or Alton. Let's just say somebody smart like you decided that, okay, I'm understanding this whole thing about leveraging in order to get ahead. And I actually take you up on this offer. So here's the offer. So now you have $1. You have to pay back $2. But in turn, you have to pay back the $2, but you actually, because you executed upon the plan, now you have $10. So how much did it really cost you? Let's look at how much did it really cost you. So let's break this 10 into lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you now have 10 because you borrowed 2, and I'm sorry, you now have 10 because you borrowed 1 and you got to pay back 2. 2 from your profit means that nothing came out of your pocket at all. So it didn't cost you anything. But guess how much you earned? So the lender actually got a 100% return on their investment, but you actually got a 800% return on their investment because it wasn't your money in the first place. So you didn't have nothing in the first place to begin with, but now you're 800% up on return in investment. So people who are wealthy, they think in terms of ROI. They don't think in terms of cost of lending. They don't think in terms of this 100%. So I said that to say, and this is a biblical principle, and I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take all the way back to in the Bible where God speaks to this very thing. And the Bible, by the way, is not a book of religion. It's a book of a basic instruction before leaving earth. And some of the principles that are in the Bible, we've missed because we've been misinformed. But when you actually learn the truth, number one, will set you free, but also you apply these things to every area of your life where you're looking for results, right? So you can apply to the area of relationships. There's some scripture that will talk about relationships. You can want to apply it to the area of finances. There's plenty of scripture that talks about abundance, prosperity, finances, and all those different things. So anyway, did y'all see this, right? So you got an 800% return on somebody else's money. Now you have an infinite return. Now you're $8 up. So every time that you take this return on your investment, right? Every time your loan, actually a return on your loan, your borrowing capacity, right? So now you take that 8 and you multiply that by the same 10. Now you have 80, the power of 80, right? So now you have the power of 80. So you took your $1, turned it, you took 0, borrowed $1, turned it into $8, reinvested it, and now you have 80. right? So imagine these are $1 million numbers or six-figure numbers. Just now we're just multiplying. It says to go be fruitful and to multiply. That's in the word. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you're enjoying it. I wanted to take some time to invite you to join me in the GovCon Challenge. The GovCon Challenge takes place once a month, where I invite a bunch of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs to come and have me teach you the 5 things you must do to pre-qualify your business to land lucrative contracts with the government. So join me in the GovCon Challenge. Click on the link in the description. You'll be glad you did. Join as VIP for exclusive behind-the-scenes information, and you could become a part of the top 1% of entrepreneurs across the nation. Now back to the video you were watching. But most people get stuck and hung up on the cost of borrowing money, which is the 100% or 20% or 8% or whatever it is, right? So the $10 came from the line of credit increase. So the $10 actually, so basically the scenario for this was, it takes $1 to make 10, right? It takes $1 to make 10, but you don't have $1, so you can't even get in the game to make the 10. So you borrow the $1, right? But the cost of borrowing the dollars, you got to pay back too. So that's 100% return to the lender. So most people think about what's going to the lender. I'm not going to pay them 100%. But look, you just won 800% if you play out the whole scenario fully. But most people get hung up on the cost to the lender, right? And so now you're in position to become the lender as well. But you're also in a great position as the borrower, because you just got a return on something that you didn't even have in the first place. So it's about getting yourself in the game. And sometimes you have to have leverage to get in the game. So watch this. In the Bible, there's a story about the Elijah and the widow. I love this story. It's one of my favorite stories. But here's my version of that. Okay. So there was a widow in the Bible whose husband had recently passed, and he left her with all of this debt. And they had 2 boys. So she had 2 sons, and she had all this debt that her husband had passed down to her. And all of the debtors were coming, the debtors, or the people that she owed the money to, or he owed the money. Now she's inherited his debt. They were knocking at the door. We need you to pay up. But she didn't have nothing. He left her with nothing. And so there was a Elijah, the man in the Bible, who came, and he knocked on the door and he said, hey, I'm here. And all she had, her sons, all she had was like just a little bit of flour and a little bit of oil. And I'm paraphrasing just a little bit here. She had a little bit of flour and a little bit of oil. And he came in the door and he said, hey, the man of God, he said, I'm a man of God, and God put it in on my heart and in my spirit to come knock at your door to ask you for a piece of bread. Hey, Cliff, he said, God put it in my spirit to ask you. I don't know why he sent me. I don't know why, but for some reason he told me to come to your door to ask you for a piece of bread. And so the widow said, I don't have nothing. My husband left me with all of this debt. He said, all I have is these 2 boys, this little bit of oil and this little bit of flour. And my plan was to take my little, bake it, eat it, and then we shall lay down and die. After I eat my last little bit, right? We shall lay down and die. Many entrepreneurs are in a position where all they have is a little. And when it comes time for them to lend or to give or to invest, they're like, all I have is this little. So I was just planning on spending up this little, right? And then they just lay down and just give up. But here's what he told her. He said, God sent me. So do you not, whatever you don't have, right? So don't focus on lack. I want you to focus on what you have. She said, all I have is this little bit of oil and this little bitty thing. And he said, go out into the marketplace and borrow. That's in the scripture, y'all. I'm not making this up. I can't make this up. It says to borrow what you don't have. He said, go out in the marketplace and borrow all the vessels that you can gather up. And so she did that, right? It's just get your sons, your cousins, your uncles, get everybody to go out in the marketplace and borrow the vessels and bring it back. And I want you to begin to pour the little bit of oil that you say you have, right? And she began to pour. And before you know it, she had poured and filled all the vessels in the town. There was not a single another vessel left in the town for her to borrow. So she had plenty, right? So she borrowed the thing and they said, okay, we'll lend it to you, but you got to pay us back. Just pay us back a little bit. And so on top of that, she poured all the oil until all the oil began to overflow, which means she had no more room left. And then she baked the bread and then she took it out into the marketplace and sold it. And now she had enough to actually pay the lenders that she had borrowed from. She had enough to pay the man of God that walked and knocked on her door and said, give me this piece of bread. She had enough to bake him some bread, and she had enough to feed her family infinitely. She had enough to feed her family. So surely she did not die, because now she started a business. So entrepreneurship is in the Bible. It's in the story. I'm not making this stuff up. Go look it up for yourself. Just Google Elijah and the widow and read the story. So in concept, he told what she thought. So she thought he was there to get a piece of bread. But God sent a stranger. He was the ram in a bush that told her how to go flip. He told her how to actually create something out of nothing. Look, we were created. We were designed to be creators. He told her how to go create something out of nothing. And sometimes you got to leverage other people's stuff in order for you to get ahead. So now she's ahead, right? So now she's in the overflow, and she'll never lack again, because now she knows how to take something that belongs to someone else and leverage it as her own, and actually to create a profitable profit out of that, right? To overflow. So that is so powerful. But most people think that borrowing is a sin, and borrowing and debt is a bad thing. But of course, they would have us to believe these things, right? Why do they have us to believe these things? Because as long as you believe them, you can never create wealth. And as long as you can never create wealth, you're a part of the bottom 94 percentile. And the bottom 94 percentile are paying 50% in taxes. So that's why even if you do make six figures, even if you did make $100,000, you're paying 50% in taxes because of lack of knowledge, lack of education, lack of understanding of how money really works. If you have none, you have to go ask. It also says that in the Bible, right? Ask and you shall be what? You shall be given. So this is scriptural things that I have learned, and these things I have applied to my business. And when I had absolutely nothing, I learned to go ask. I learned to go borrow and leverage. And leveraging actually put me into the game to be able to get an infinite return on somebody else's money. I'm just saying, that's how it works, right? And I say all these things because when people look at 20% called lending interest rate, they look at that in the business. But first of all, you have no money to learn to get to invest in the things, whether it's education or knowledge or a system or it's real estate. You don't have no money to get in the game. So the only way to change and transform your circumstance is to use debt. It's a tool. Money is a tool. It's a tool, right? But most people think that money is the harvest. Nah, bruh. It's not the harvest. It's a tool. It's a tool that you're supposed to use to actually bring you a return. So if your money is not moving and working for you, then you have to look for who can I borrow from so I can get the thing that I need that's going to transform and change my life. Because I know that there are several blueprints that are out here to show you how to make $1 million in a year. There are several blueprints that are out here to show you how to make $1 million in a month. I know because I've bought into and invested into a blueprint that shows me how to make $1 million in a month. In fact, I've bought into and invested into a blueprint that showed me how to make $1 million in a day. And I've been able to accomplish those things by following the blueprint, right? But did I have the investment? Well, no, at those times I did not. I did not have the investment, but guess what I did? I did what Elijah and the widow what Elijah told the widow to do, go borrow. And that put me in the game, right? And then that gives, if you see this, if you understand how money really works, like literally, I just showed you how the lender makes a little, but the borrower has an infinite return because they started with nothing. And because they borrowed, now they have something that is greater and is multiplied. And now you have something to work with that can continue to multiply. Because the purpose of money is not for you to get it and spend it. And that's what we've been designed and taught. We haven't been designed to do that, but we've been taught and programmed to do that. In the schools and information, like we've been taught to do these things. But the purpose of money, which money is a spiritual thing in the first place. So anything spiritual related, you need to study it in the biggest spiritual book that lives, right? And that's the Bible, right? And so the purpose of money and currency in the first place is for it to move and for it to work for you and to use it as leverage and to use it as a tool. And the purpose of it is for it to do what? Money is supposed to multiply. So if your money is not multiplying, multiplying, you're putting it in the wrong place. If your money is not multiplying, you have the wrong relationship with your money. If your money is not multiplying, it's because you have lack of understanding of what it is that you have in the first place, right? So your money is supposed to multiply. It says let everything bring forth fruit of its own kind, which means that money is supposed to bring forth money. And if you don't have money in the first place, guess what you got to borrow in order to bring forth money? Borrow money to bring forth more money. And that literally can and will change your life. I know I can go on about this whole thing, but I feel like I've helped a few people. If you feel like I've helped you, drop some fires in the chat, because it's the truth. Like in the Bible, the word, the basic instruction before leaving earth, it says it in the word that the truth shall set you free. And yes, also this mind that we have that has been programmed by television, it's been programmed by the news, it's been programmed by the miseducation, misdirectional institution called learning, the institution that was designed to keep you broke, that was designed to make you forget that you're a creator and convert your mind into a consumer mindset rather than being a creator, right? Look, I recently opened up a school. I'm not going to get into the college university we just started, but with this particular educational institution, we have disrupted the current educational institutions as it is today, right? With this disruption, people who are taking business as a study are able to learn how to build profitable businesses and make money as they're implementing it. So by the time they graduate, they will have made more money than the cost of education. That is the true American dream. That is what education systems should be doing, right, for us as entrepreneurs. So anyways, what we're also doing is we've been helping entrepreneurs through our coaching and training programs learn how to actually take their business and grow it abundantly with government contracts. It's a blueprint that works, right? So even if the government was to take all of their spend and rightfully divide it upon all the 33 million businesses that exist in the US, if they were rightfully able to divide that spending, every business will have $1 million a year. But guess what? They're not going to rightfully equally divide the spending, because some will and some won't. Some do and some don't. Many are called, but only few are chosen. Many people are never going to look at government contracts. Some people will never even learn about leveraging debt. Some people don't even care about none of this stuff. But the very few that will and that do care, right? There are opportunities out there where one contract could be $1 million. I'm not saying every contract is going to be $1 million, but there are opportunities out there where one contract could be 2 to 5 million. And I've seen it and I see it on a regular basis. There are opportunities that are out there can literally transform and change your life, you guys. And it is with the power of government contracts. I'm just saying this thing is transformational, but it's not for everyday average people. It's for people who are ready for their next level of success, who are ready to walk into their destiny, who are ready to become creators, who are ready to understand real life principles, who are ready to apply these things and have them multiply their wealth, their prosperity, and to help them create generational wealth. Everybody's not ready for this. So what we're doing, we're creating an environment for you to win. And it's called the 5-day challenge. GovConLive.com is where you will go to register for our next upcoming 5-day challenge. We're helping people to transform their mind, helping people to transfer their understanding about wealth and the transference thereof. We're helping people to transform the whole idea and to just break through all the little misconceptions about contracting with the government and how it really works. We show you how to actually position yourself to win lucrative government contracts in our 5-day challenge. We show you how to get qualified. But again, it's not for everybody. So if you're the type of person that looks for handouts, this is not a handout. This is not going to be a handout. It's going to be work. It's going to be a hand up. So if you're ready to come up to this level, it's going to be a hand up, but you got to be willing to put in the work. And if you're willing to put in the work, then we can work. Let's work it. So go to govconlive.com, get yourself registered, and I will see you guys on the money side. Until then, until next time, until in between time, you guys, go be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and all those things. And in the word, it says you will have dominion. All right. So we'll see you next time.